required. For this I and I aspire, cause he's walking through the King of Kings. Well, are you ready to overcome all evil days? And it's sound that rules and reigns, removing all of the pain. Disobedience, man, has fallen from grace. Over the years, they built the rat race. Politician, the official candidate, causing divisions oh so great. It's time to learn from your past. Look how fast people down fade like grass. Righteous shall remain. Meek possess the earth, come to pass. Walking through the King of Kings. Well, are you ready to overcome all evil days? And it's sound that rules and reigns, removing all the pain. To the bridge, so much dying and suffering, so much misery and struggling. It's time we follow the Master's plan, yeah, and let him take us higher, yeah. Blessed be Yeshua the Messiah, who overcome all evil days, and it's him that rules and reigns. He's removing, he's removing, he's removing. Give it up for Matt Smith on guitar. Thank you very much. We love you.
It's the Maximum on the radio.
It's 10:31.
Giants! I say Giants! Blow the shofar! Protect the human! All right, everybody get into position. Yahuwah will give them into our hands. Oh, looks like the enemy's trying to siege us, not human men, but giants, taller cedars. Oh, you know they won't stop. They want us to drop one hit and we'll pop. Don't fear, Yah's on top. Nah, will you believe me that the good has dead? Oh, my fearful one have insurance. Everybody's raging but excited. You better not be hiding, cause the battle is Yahuwah. Who has built a house and hasn't dedicated it? Anyone plants a vineyard and hasn't used it? Anyone engaged and hasn't taken her? Who is afraid and tender of heart? Go back home. Don't make the heart of your king melt. Everyone else, get ready! Yeah, your garden, tall like a cedar tree, but you'll fall by the hand of our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah gets all the praise, esteem, and honor. Yeah, your garden, strong like the oak tree, but you'll get smashed by our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah protects all of his sons and daughters. Let's see your horror on the face when Yahuwah puts them in their place. Or will they try to run? No, they cannot run. What is to be done? The war's already won. Nah, will you cause the battle is Yahuwah.
Achim, light your arrows! Aim! Fire!
Yeah, you're gonna tall like a cedar tree, but you'll fall by the hand of our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah gets all the praise, esteem, and honor. Yeah, you're gonna strong like the oak tree, but you'll get smashed by our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah protects all of his sons and daughters.
It's not working! They're coming! I know. I'm gonna cry out to Yahuwah. Abi, Yahuwah, we need you. Please give them into our hands. Fight for us!
Help for the shove in! Now, all hands with them! Repent!
Achim, shout!
Yahuwah gets all the praise, esteem, and honor. Yeah, you're gonna strong like the oak tree, but you'll get smashed by our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah protects all of his sons and daughters. Yeah, you're gonna fall like a cedar tree, but you'll fall by the hand of our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah gets all the praise, esteem, and honor. Yeah, you're gonna strong like the oak tree, but you'll get smashed by our Father. Yeah, our Father, our Yahuwah protects all of his sons and daughters.
Great and marvelous are your works, O Yahweh. Elohim, El Shaddai, righteous and true. I always, King of the nations, who will not fear you, O Yahweh. Glorify your name, for you alone are holy. Holy, O Yahuwah, for all the nations will come and worship before you. For you alone are holy, holy, O Yahuwah, for all the nations will come and worship before you. For your righteous acts have been revealed. Great and marvelous are your works, O Yahweh. Elohim, El Shaddai, righteous and true. I always, King of the nations, who will not fear you, O Yahweh. And glorify your name, for you alone are holy. Holy, O Yahuwah, for all the nations will come and worship before you. For you alone are holy, holy, O Yahuwah, for all the nations will come and worship before you. For your righteous acts have been revealed. Sing the song of Moshe and the song of the Lamb. Testify to the Son of Yah, believe and keep his commands. Sing the been revealed. For your righteous acts have been revealed. Oh, for your righteous acts have been revealed.
You are listening to Shema Internet Radio, the finest music and teaching on the web for the disciples of the Master. Stay tuned for more fine programming.
Listen for him. Whether you're deep in the jungles of Africa, listen for him. Whether you're bound in the snows of Antarctica, listen for him. Whether you're stranded in prisons on Patmos, listen for him. When the barbarians are smashing the gates, listen for him. When you hear rumors of wars in the distance, listen for him. He's the keeper of all the keys to the kingdom. Listen for him. Whether you're breaking the walls of apartheid, listen for him. Whether you're fighting to stop old infanticide, listen for him. Whether you're asked to ignore Yah's commandments, listen for him. When our kids bring guns to school in their skates, listen for him. When we hear lies from leaders and princes, listen for him. He's the sower of all good seed for the kingdom. He calls us his children when we hear and do his will. He is with us when we're living or dying, moving or standing still. He calls us his children when we hear and do his will. And he is with us whether we're living or dying, moving or standing still.
It's 10:45.
Raise it up, please. Music. Are you going to Heartseed? Worship Yah at the appointed time. Seek the one who walks with them. Then he'll be our brother of Are you going to Heartseed? Where we keep hide and seek to worship Yah at the appointed time. Seek the one who lives inside you. Then you'll be a brother of
More music, more attitude.
Oh, hallelujah, Yahweh, all ye nations, hallel him, all ye people, His Rachamim is great toward us. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. Hallel Yahweh, all ye nations. Hallel, all ye people. His Rachamim is great toward us. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. Hallel Yahweh, all ye nations. Amen. Hallel, all ye people. His Rachamim is great toward us. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. The emet of Yahweh endures forever. Hallel Yahweh, all ye nations, pagan nations. Hallel, all ye people. His Rachamim is great toward us. The emet of Yahweh endures forever and ever. The emet of Yahweh endures forever.
name. Nobody can change it. Nobody can change how powerful that name that can break the chains of sin. Let everything that hath breath shout hallelujah. His name is Yahushua. You are the Lion of Judah, the great I am. We will shout your name, and we will proclaim the name above all names. How mighty is that name? How powerful that name that can break the chains of sin. Let everything that hath breath shout hallelujah. His name is Yahushua. Hallelujah. Oh Yahushua, you are the Lion of Judah, the great I am. We will shout your name, and we will proclaim the name above all names. How mighty is that name? The name above all names. How mighty is that name? The name above all names. How mighty is that name? Hallelujah.
The best music all the time, every day.
It's 10:53.
In the stillness of the wilderness, a flame begins to rise. A bush that burns, yet is not consumed. It draws my wandering eyes. The ground I stand on now is cold ash. I hear the voice of the Supreme Ruler. Remove your sandals, draw near in awe, for I am with you, don't pass by. The voice in the wilderness calls to me. I have seen my people suffering. I know their pain, I've heard their cries, and I have come to set them free. The supreme allure of Abraham speaks my name with a purpose clear and strong. Go deliver, bring my children home to the land where they belong. The fire burns but does not consume, a sign of love that won't let go. You are my chosen, I am with you through every trial you'll undergo. The voice in the wilderness calls to me. I have seen my people suffering. I know their pain, I've heard their cry, and I have come to course I'll follow you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, family.
Yeah, shalom,
Thank you
shalom.
for joining us here.
Yes.
I am here with Apostle Sholiak Konakowski, who is he is celebrating the success of the beautiful radio program and system that he's got running here at
Shema.
Yati. And I got to tell you, the Shema radio program, man, I saw that latest post about the reach, and that got me excited. Good job.
That's pretty amazing. 25,000 listeners.
We are celebrating with you, my friend.
Well, I hope 24,000 of those are in Arizona.
Would be nice, huh? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
24,000 people listening in Arizona to the kind of music that
Shema
you guys
internet,
are putting it out
internet
there.
radio. Yeah.
Wake you up music.
Huh?
Wake you up music.
Yeah. How does my mic sound?
Your mic sounds great. You got a new mic.
I did, and it's intimidating me because I don't like stuff in my face. I don't like things in my face, and I don't like people in my face.
Well, I don't think anybody likes anybody in their face.
Don't take that personally. You're on the screen. I'm talking about generic people.
No, it's a fair point. Nobody likes anybody in their face. It's a good thing.
I'm going to ask Yoshi how my sound is. Yosh, how's my sound? I'm going to just send him a quick message to make sure. No, it's just I don't know. I'm a little weird that way. Give me a second here. I'm a little weird that way. Anytime something changes, I feel like, ooh, the atmosphere changes. And I don't believe in any of that Eastern, gobbledygook, like.
Well, if you're weird, then everybody else is weird with you, because I'm pretty sure all of us react to change,
right?
And things that disturb our orbit. So,
right, like when furniture moves, or I get a new table, I'm like, everything's going good. I hope this doesn't change the atmosphere, which is. It borders on Hindu, Eastern,
I was going to say, I'm thinking feng shui over here.
Chakra or yin yang slang, right?
The Barco Lounger. We upset
right, or like the yin and the yang. And so I got this thing here.
Don't move the Barco Lounger.
And then I got the old red one, which is not intimidating because it's not in my face. So
all right.
I might be acting weird for like the next 3 episodes. If you see me acting out of character,
it's the microphone. People, you don't realize it, but it's true. In fact, I have to upgrade my system. Somebody asked me about that last week. They were concerned about the sound element. Well, it's not actually the mic. It's the system that I have to go through, and I've made it last a lot longer than it probably should have. So it needs to be upgraded, but we'll get there. We'll get, it's not cheap.
But even in this case, you're my hero. Yoshi says my mic sounds pristine.
It does sound very good.
But I don't know. You're my hero because I've been cheating. I like to cheat a little bit. All under the umbrella of Torah. And I've been reading the fine print on your microphone. Foofy, Fifi, Finey. And I'm like, I'm going to check out that brand. And that's how I got this Finey, Feeny.
Super fine. The pristine mic. I told you it's not the mic. It was the computer that was giving me the issues. So
your mic is good. Your mic, I can tell. And, I'm not professional like some folks because like, a professional podcaster doesn't mind having this thing here, but I had to put seat on the microphone just to sanctify this so that chakra or yin yang would play with my ding dang. The yin yang would stay out of my ding dang. You know what I mean? But
You're
anyway, this is
funny.
how I overcome fear and doubt and unbelief. I make jokes. So when I'm making jokes right now is so that this thing gets out of the way and the ruach is guiding, and not this thing.
There's no question the Ruach is leading and guiding, and the amount of revelation, the amount of understanding and wonder
Amazing.
coming out. Unreal. Aren't you all out there? I'd love to hear from you as well. I'm sure you're all being blessed, but also stretched a bit. How many of you feel a little stretched by some of the things that you've now been given, and that Yahuwah is stretching your legs a little? He's pushing you beyond your normal boundaries to say a little
Every
further,
day.
a little
Mhm.
further. Come on. You can do it. And you're always saying, I can't take anymore. I can't take another. And he's like, yeah, you can. Come on.
You
Sure
know,
you can.
what's amazing is the getting back to you with the microphone. And now I'm not going to stay on the microphone, but you're as get happy. You're bubbly at whatever AM it is your time. Okay, and so in addition to you being an inspiration through the microphone, I'm not that bubbly without some bubbly in the morning. What time you're like 9ish, right?
It's 9 now. Been up a while, but bubbly's a choice. Right?
Nine's not too bad, but the point is you're ready. You're usually
That's
ready.
right. That's right.
So,
I try to be.
and
I try to be. And
around
you, by the
here,
way, have helped me with that.
around
You're
here
big
is a disaster.
inspiration.
Well, thank you. Around here is a disaster. I can't tell you what's going on around here. I got people sleeping till all hours of the day. Don't get me started. So, but you're a testimony in that regard too, because you're up and ready to go, and the audience can't tell that you're half asleep because you're they can't tell. So you're not faking it.
No, I'm not half asleep.
We're not fake.
I'm very much awake.
You're doing good at doing what you're doing. Okay, so I was talking to you stage back, and or backstage, whatever coast you're from, and I thought about growth. What the heaven is growth? Because the church defines growth one way, right?
Right. Very good.
The world defines growth in eso. Okay.
Right.
Jews define growth with how much bagels they have in the freezer.
Great.
So everybody, or Italians define growth on how big your waistline is getting with ravioli and spaghetti. So everybody's got a different definition of growth.
Sure do.
And I think, to be honest with you, Apostle Peter, methinks that very few, because of all the versions of growth, that very few really understand what growth is. So
great point.
What do you think about spiritual growth, kingdom growth? How should we how should we see that? What's the proper perspective?
Well, it's interesting you should bring that up. We're in the midst of a series on Shabbat. Those of you that are not connected, get connected. We're in the midst of a series called The Kingdom is Within You.
Excellent.
And so when you're talking about the topic of growth, the question is where? So if we're talking about numerical growth, and numerics is the defining factor, well, then in that case, the Super Bowl's anointed.
Yeah.
So apparently that isn't the measurement. So we're good with the measurement not being the number of people that show up at the same place on a Sunday, right? So that's not the measurement. We're good there. So now that we threw that out, I believe it is the ability to carry the weight of his kavod. That is your growth. Now that's just my opinion.
Woo!
However,
That's deep.
I believe that your growth does not happen on the outside. And so consequently, no metric that you could see would define it.
Mm-hmm.
The end. What you would see would be the result of growth, not the growth itself. You would see the result of maturity, not the maturing itself. You would see the result of deep contemplation, of meditation. You would see the result of these things. You would see the fruit of them, but you wouldn't see the process that's going on under the soil. So this is the problem that you have. This is the reason why AI is such a major problem in the world, if I may, is because it is training you daily And by the way, if you are using Chat GPT, I want you to disconnect immediately. Immediately. I'm telling you, this thing is a weapon, and it is literally scrambling your brain. Now, if you want to sit with me, I will happily tell you how, but you should stop first, and then I'll explain to you how bad this is. It's training you to be a slave, very subtly. It's training you to accept slave mentality and slave thinking. It's putting all your processing outside you.
But what's the difference between ChatGPT and Gemini, for instance? Why is one an
All,
enemy?
but
why
Chat is
why is
Chat
one
is the
more?
worst.
Why is one more of an enemy than the other one?
Okay, they're all bad. They're all bad. This is the reason why we make the things we do and do patents. They're all doing the same thing. There's just one that's particularly bad, and Chat's particularly bad at it. It's why they're being sued. That's just my opinion. I have a qualified opinion.
Well, at least one is aptly named Croc of you know what.
Grok, yes, it's definitely a croc.
I mean, there's one that's aptly named.
Here's the real key of it. I'm just going to give you this, and you guys should listen to the next 2 weeks, the next 2 Shabbats. I really encourage you to sit down with us because you're going to get breakthrough. I'm promising you. Okay.
Excellent series. Yep.
Because of the, when you ask this question about growth cannot happen as long as all growth is on the outside of you.
Bingo.
So everything that is growing outside of you, your notebook is growing, your library is growing, your hard drive is growing,
waistline,
your waistline is growing, your ego is growing.
Oh yeah.
You're getting a big head.
Peter, stop talking about me that way.
But you're not useful. Why? Because the inside is what needs to grow. So this is the problem that you have with AI. I told you they were subjugating you. You didn't listen, but I'm telling you to your face. So because they teach you to ask external questions, there's low cognition. Because there's low cognition, there's low character development. Because there's low character development, all that's left to you is compliance or defiance. That's how you know you're still eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The only thing you understand is comply or defy. That's it. External behavior modifiers, you need externals to control you. Okay, you need something to tell you whether you're going the right way or the wrong way. There's no calculation going on there. There's no performance. You've become a reactive relationship or a slave. That is not what he is building.
There's no room for the ruach.
He's calling sons. What's happening with sons? Sons are different. They sit by the tree, planted by the rivers of water, whose leaf does not wither, and everything they do prospers. Why? Because they're Psalm 1, verse 1 through 3 compliant mind. They meditate on his Torah day and night. But there's 3 things they also do not do. Baruch is the man that walketh not in the counsel or the thought processes of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners. So people bent on sin, get out of their way. I'll say it again. People bent on sin, get out of their way.
Main. Yep.
Okay. Nor stands in the way of the sinner, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. So don't spend any time at a table that's being disrespectful. Okay. That's not acceptable in the kingdom. We don't do that. It wars against your anointing, your barakah, your blessing. So these are 3 things that you'll find in almost every house, constantly operating to break the barakah. The wise man disconnects from those things. And what does he do? He is not on the outside looking at anything. He doesn't care about the outside. He's caring about the inside. Watch this. He has an internal thing. So instead of saying, what can I do for you? He goes, what can I do for Moshe? Right? Why does that change it? Because I'm not putting the burden on him. I'm asking Peter. When you ask Peter, something different happens. Okay? Now it goes inside. You have massive character development. Massive character development. You have massive calculation. You have no choice. You have nobody else to ask. You have volition development. You start making decisions based on what you've calculated, things that weren't happening before. You left that all outside. But now it's come inside because the Ruach is asking you to talk and asking you questions and saying, come on over here, let's have a chat, because you're talking inside and you're getting correction. Guess what's happening inside you? You are growing.
Yeah. So growth is the stony heart being removed and the heart of flesh being inserted and allowing the Ruach the space that it needs to bring change. So, for instance, let's take something as mundane or as non-mundane, depending on how you look at things, as the tithe. And I don't want to stay on the tithe. I want to get back to growth. But two people give $100 each. One gives it begrudgingly,
right,
and the other gives it in honor and respect. So, which one is seed? Which one is seed and internal, and which one is not seed? Because only he increases seed to the sower. So
I can tell you the answer to that if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of a setup, but yeah, sure.
Well, it's really simple. You see Cain and you see Abel.
Mm-hmm.
Which one had their respect preloaded?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
Yeah.
When you see Abel come to the altar, his respect preloaded. When you see Abraham come to Melchizedek, his respect was preloaded.
Yeah.
He didn't make up his mind while he's standing there. What do I do? He wasn't thinking as he walked, whoa, how do I act?
That's right.
This was already preloaded inside of him.
Yeah.
Okay. So that meant that he walked in already in a certain mindset, because it had happened on the inside of him.
Go ahead.
Whereas Cain, by contrast, see the contrast here? This one didn't even give the time of day to meditating on what he was doing and needed an external voice to correct him, which left him in a place of only compliance and defiance, which I just told you is a slave mentality.
Yes.
So because he could not internalize or receive the circumcision of heart that Abel had received. Okay, so those of you looking for it down the road, no, it was right there. A circumcision of heart happened right there, and Abel was a circumcised heart. How do I know? Mashiach calls him righteous. When Mashiach calls you righteous, you're righteous.
Did Abraham bring forth bread and wine out of his own understanding and his own volition, or do you think that the Ruach had revealed to Abraham that Melchizedek was to receive the bread and the wine, or is it Melchizedek who brought the bread and the wine?
Melchizedek.
I got to review that. Yeah, I think it was Melchizedek
brought the bread and the wine. But here's the point.
There you go. Yeah.
But if Abraham was not predisposed to honor Yahuwah, what could you give him that would have made him?
Right.
And if they weren't predisposed to honor Yahuwah, anything you tell them to do at that point is not authentic.
Right.
So it must come from the inside to be authentic. Would we all agree that someone who gets told, hey, tell her you love her, is different than the man who says, man, I just love you, right? Who's coming out of his heart, comes out of the depth of him, out of the abundance of his heart, the mouth is speaking. So when somebody says, when they don't have anything, that means there's nothing in there, right? So why do we need preloaded? What's preloaded come from? Well, I'll tell you where it comes from. Thanks for asking. It comes from Psalm 1. It comes from Psalm 1, verses 1 through 3. When you're meditating on the Torah, why do you think Abel ended up at the altar? Abel didn't end up at the altar because he just decided on a whim that he should just go to an altar one day and have a nice day. Abel did not arrive at the right place to do the right ritual on the right time in the right location. That was not accidental. So Abel is already doing before it's even written. So he's doing in the Ruach before we have Psalm 1 written. So Psalm 1 confirms what Abel was doing.
It was in his heart, yeah.
It was in his heart to honor Yahuwah, and he had meditated on it day and night so that when the time came to do it, he did it right. It reflected the amount of time, pay attention here, it was a reflection of the amount of time he had spent preloading respect. He did not wait until he was at the fork in the road to make a decision then what he should do, which is what Cain was doing.
And then we see in Isaiah 51, when Yahuwah says to Abraham, when I called Abraham, he was alone. And yet the growth was in his heart. The growth was in his heart to obey Yahuwah.
That's right.
And to produce zerah, seed, for Yahuwah.
That's right.
So it's not right there. We see in Isaiah 51 the mother and the father of our Amunah, even though we know it goes a little bit further back,
Right.
had the growth, had our growth, and the growth of their progenitory in their hearts, because it's all inward. So growth is, as you said, fundamentally and foundationally an inward reality, which requires the removal of the stony heart. Ezekiel 36, and
That's
the
right.
impartation of a fleshly heart, not a fleshly carnal heart, but a fleshly pliable heart.
May I suggest to you, my brethren, that when Mashiach says in Luke chapter 4 that he is here to heal the brokenhearted, he wasn't speaking about a romantic notion. He's looking at the man who is so disconnected from his brethren that he will walk to the other side of the road when the man is literally beaten up and bleeding. That's a broken heart. Something's wrong with you.
Yep.
If you can walk by your brother and he's clearly in distress,
Yeah.
you have a broken heart. That's what he meant.
And a broken heart has a very difficult time growing. So
Yeah.
growth. So getting back to growth.
Mhm.
So church growth, congregational growth is, as you well know, is usually a numbers game. That's really what it is, and it's a brownie point system. It's a chalkboard where everybody gets a Roman numeral, 14, 15 souls, 74 baptisms, 95 mission trips. I mean, this is all stuff we came out of. That's Revelation 18:4 stuff.
It's a
And
trap.
the people that are in the camp of the righteous and Nasarim Yasra'al, you are counted worthy of double honor for, number one, obeying the call to come out and exchanging carnal growth for real growth. Right now, everybody that's submitted to a good house, a solid house, like your house, like my house, they are growing exponentially in the Ruach in 6 corners in 100,000 different ways that we don't even have the mind, unless we have the mind of Yahusha, to actually identify how we're growing: patience, love, tolerance, mercy, all the 9 gifts of the Ruach, plus that, and then some, you know? So growth, and I, as leaders, I want to address the leaders like I did yesterday, especially leaders. My goodness. I think I told you the story once, Apostle Peter, of a fellow in Ocala, Florida. And I was looking for a job to have a paid position as a paid religious professional, because in those days I had children and babies, and I couldn't pay my bills. Right? I think I told you this story. So he had just lost his wife. He was heartbroken. He was crying in the office. He says, "I lost my wife. My child is gone," or whatever. He says, "All I have left is this. This is my baby. You have to understand something, Moshe." He goes, "You teach better than me. You probably have a closer walk with the Messiah than I do, but I can't give you my baby. I can't give you my baby. This is my baby. And now I'm willing to hire your wife as like a secretary, but he found me intimidating." Okay. And a guy like that is never going to grow, because if you see your congregation as yours, you got a mental issue, you got a spiritual issue. Number one, it's not yours. You're a caretaker. It's his. Okay. And number two, if that's replaced your first love is supposed to be Hadon Yahushua HaMashiach and him alone. So you're out of balance. You have a codependent relationship with your supposed wife, which is your congregation. Excuse me. The congregation is Yahusha's wife. That's not your wife, honey child. That's Yahusha's wife, right?
We see a couple things there, don't we?
But why is that growth? He saw growth as holding on to something that didn't belong to him to begin with. And I deal with that. Everybody, especially leaders, we are looking. If you ask the average leader, how are we going to grow? They'll come up with a game plan. And the growth, you could have 10 people, and they're growing in their relation, in covenant, in fellowship, back to where Adam was in the cool of the day. And that is the growth that is eternal, like you say, not fake. And that is the growth that cannot be shaken by any person, place, or circumstance. Makes sense, right?
It does, except that it's based on false premise.
Right.
Here's the premise that's the problem. What was the reason why you went to visit this man? I'll tell you. You admitted it. You said,
"Oh, I admitted it. Yeah,
I couldn't pay my bills.
That's
so
right.
I needed resource.
That's right. I shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Shouldn't have. But you learned that through the process. So you're just telling us how you learned what you learned. But so good on you for being honest about the process you went through to where you are now, because it does matter. But the fact is that you realized that person had something that could help you. You went there thinking, all right, I can serve you and you can help me with my problem. I'll give you spiritual things. You give me natural things. It's really not a different conversation. It really isn't. So it's pretty much the same conversation that you would have with a congregation, except you're having it with one man. The problem with that, of course, is the fact that he thinks he's a gatekeeper. And so as a result of that, you walked away realizing, well, your gift, which was superior and could have benefited those people, was rejected because he saw the people as his source. So let's be blunt. He saw the people as his source. And as a result of him seeing the people as his source, he treated them accordingly. Now, here's the facts, or here's the reality. One man with Yahuwah is a majority. So those who believe this nonsense kowtow and cater to crowds and to those who themselves need leadership. You can't lead people who are deciding your employment. Okay, so if they hired you, they can fire you. You should sit down then. You should sit down, because Yahuwah anoints his people. And whom man anoints and man appoints, man must empower. But whom Yahuwah anoints and whom Yahuwah appoints, Yahuwah will empower. And I can tell you, personal experience, that Yahuwah doesn't need anyone else but you to produce any amount of resource you need. So if you need $1 million, you don't need to go and say, I need 5,000 people, because you've sat up and calculated and you fell for Satan's trick, which is exactly what David fell for, numbering the people. So you're doing the same thing and you're going to have the same judgment. Hello, he doesn't change. But when you realize that he's your source, I just wrote a patent worth $4 billion just yesterday. $4 billion. I'm not bragging. I'm bragging on Yahuwah, because I'm telling you that he gives you the witty inventions. So what are you looking for people to give that for? Well, they're broke. What are they going to give you? Okay. You're looking in the wrong direction. And because of that, you're going to stay broke. You're supposed to be a leader. Well, lead then. Lead Psalm 1. Lead them and show them what Psalm 1 looks like. Show them what it looks like when a man meditates before Yahuwah.
I've learned the hard way, Peter.
You sure have,
Apostle Peter, that growth is not in popularity, numbers. Growth is in fidelity, veracity, balance, endurance. He that endures to the end shall be saved. He that does not endure to the end of their life, their last breath, may have numbers in every area of life: money, wives, houses, cars,
bunch of immaterial nonsense,
a bunch of stuff. And like they used to teach us in the Koiki, I've never seen what is it? I've never seen a U-Haul following or a Penske following a hoist.
Come on.
Even William Randolph Hearst didn't have anything following his hoist. Remember William Randolph Hearst, the publisher of the San Francisco Chronicle and the big publisher? He didn't take anything with him. So we came naked into this world, we leave. So all growth is, getting it to Peter Martinez terms, all growth is fake, except it's inward, from a circumcised heart, a fleshly heart that the Father gives you, and it lasts. Whatever, soon all will be past. Whatever is done for Messiah will last. Sound familiar? Let's say that again. Soon all will be past. All your cookie business, your cake business, your selling shoes,
whatever it is,
job. Watch this. How's this for a sobering drink on a Monday morning? all those babies and grandchildren that you adore and that you shower with love and affection and go out of your way to spoil them, they're going to die one day. They're going to die one day, just like you. Soon all will be past, but only what is done for Messiah will last.
What
when
is it?
When we begin with that, now growth can take place for the rest of your life because you're making the right choices and the right priorities, making sure that what you do has everlasting implications. You follow what I'm saying?
I do. And every person listening to this broadcast or any broadcast that we do are doing so because there were people in previous centuries who thought beyond their own lifetimes, who understood the lesson of legacy, who understood the importance of moving and operating in multiple lifetimes, despite the present time you're in. And they put things in jars that we now discovered. They put things away that we needed. And it was because they had a forethought and a foresight to live beyond their time.
Right.
And those are the wise.
They were
Those are
kadosh.
Yes,
They
those
were
are
kadosh
my.
jars. They were kadosh jars. They weren't mason jars or Freemason jars.
That's right.
They were kadosh.
That's right. And we talk a lot about mercy, right? And my brother mentioned mercy, and Yahuwah is Yahuwah of mercy. He is. But let us remember something, and let us be clear about it. Mercy triumphs over judgment. May I point out that if you extend mercy before judgment, it is not mercy, it is compromise. One more time. You cannot extend mercy before judgment. You can only extend mercy after judgment. If you extend mercy before judgment, it is compromise.
Excellent. Yep.
First, you must make the judgment. You are wrong. This is incorrect. What you've done is a sin. Now I can extend mercy now that we've judged the matter. And it is a matter. It isn't a person. Anybody who has a problem with judging people don't know how to separate people from matters. This is very important. This is also why I said respect is preloaded. So, for example, when you come to speak to Sholiach Moshe, you do not come to him and say, well, this last thing you said is my issue. That's the wrong place to start.
Liar, pants on fire.
What you start with is,
you a liar.
40 years of this, 30 years of that. You've done this well. You've done this well. I respect this. I honor you for that. By the time you get done with your preloaded list of respect and then bring your issue, he is in a totally different posture, isn't he?
Correct.
Why?
You put him at ease.
You moved him. How did you move him? Your preloaded respect. When Melchizedek saw Abraham's preloaded respect, he responded accordingly.
He brought out the bread and the wine. Yeah,
she sure did, because he knew Abraham was waiting for him. Whereas those who are entitled, they don't understand that must be done ahead of time.
So mercy never comes before judgment.
Never. Always after.
And Exhibit A is Golgotha.
Yes. Correct.
Yahusha was judged. Yahuwah had to pull the blinds. It was so painful for him to sacrifice his own son. But Yahuwah was judged in our place. Now we can proceed for our seed, and our children's seed, as many as Yahuwah our Elohayim shall call, all those who are far off. We rejoice in the mercy, but first came the judgment. So the perfect example of what you're saying is Adon Yahusha himself.
That's right. And it begins there, by the way. So most people's real problem isn't with a leader or with a husband or a boss at their job, or their real problem is with Yahuwah, because they don't like some of the things he said in the scripture, and they finally read something they didn't like.
Yeah.
And it sticks in the craw, right?
It's a miracle. It's a miracle Yahuwah put me into the ministry, Peter, because I was no good. Even when I was saved, I was no good, because when I had jobs, which I hated, jackass of a boss at A, B, C, and D, I hated secular work because I had a love for the ministry and had a love for the calling, but I was a thief. It's a miracle that he forgave me all those things, because instead of doing my job, I would sit in the telemarketing booth and read my scriptures. And Yahuwah is not happy. Well, what do you mean? You're reading his scriptures. Yeah, but you're stealing time from your boss, and your boss has his own blood, sweat, and tear issues, And I didn't, so it was a miracle that Yahuwah gave me all that mercy, but mercy followed judgment. It didn't precede judgment. And so I thank Yahuwah every day that I'm one of his spokespeople, cutting edge spokespeople. That's true, but he didn't have to. So this is all growth, just the realization of what I was doing, even under a saved umbrella, right? I was doing all these things under the realization is the growth that 20, 40, 50 people sitting in my house can never bring me.
Well, this is the issue. And again, where does this really come from? Well, it comes from an offense that we don't really want to say, because we know we can't be offended at Yahuwah. If we say we're offended at Yahuwah, then we look like an idiot, right? So instead, we get offended with the people that are promoting his word or saying the same thing, because now we can have the argument with them. Right? As opposed to have an argument with him, because you can't have an argument with him.
I don't have an anger issue because I'm afraid of God, but I hate you, and I love you, brother, but I hate the way, and I hate because we're afraid that we're not allowed to be.
Come from? It's a lack of submission. So
that's another area of growth. We're not allowed to be angry at Yahuwah. Says who? Excuse me.
Be angry and sin not. That's what he said. So don't.
That's right.
Sin.
We could be angry at Yahuwah, but don't accuse him falsely, because Yahuwah made us in his image. And even the mention of being angry at Yahuwah, right now people are listening going, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. People are not happy about some of the things he said and some of the things he stated, which are true and facts. Why does he state them? He states them because they're true.
Yes.
Okay. And so then you have to have a problem with that. And you go, I don't like the way that sounded. I don't like what he said there. I like the word submission, right? A lot of people bristle. Thinking, submission. What does that mean? It just means we're all on the same team. Now, when you watch a football game, everybody, all right, because I know 80 billion of you watch football, so whatever. Okay, so you watch the football game, whatever. You enjoy yourselves. I don't care. So you get in a huddle, and what happens? Now it's different. Now the guy's listening to his headphones and he's hearing the play from upstairs and all that, right? But then the quarterback gets in the huddle. I'm talking old fashioned. I don't care about the 2026 version. I'm talking the old fashioned original football. Okay. Quarterback gets in the huddle, says, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run and then he tells you the play. We're going to run a double hat back, flat on the flat or blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do 3 on the whatever. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we practiced this. We know this play. We know this. They don't know it, but we know the play. All right. Ready, break. Right. And everybody fans out to their particular positions. And you know the play. The other team doesn't. And you execute. You win the game. Right. Or you score the touchdown or make the play successful, whatever. High fives, all that. Where's that come from? Where did all that come from? Did you guys just make it up like right there? Well, if you're playing backyard football, maybe. And how's that usually work out? Not as good, right? But when you're doing it professionally, when you're taking it seriously, when you are prepping, when you are part of a team, you are in a mission, and that mission is to win the game. And you, right tackle, are submission. You, quarterback, are submission. You, running back, are submission. You, wide receiver, are submission.
Yes.
All of you are submission. All of you. All of you. The owner's got the mission. He wants the trophy. You guys are all submission. All of you. And then you go, well, that's true. And now let's take it to your job. One more minute, brother, and then you can have it. Take it to your job, right? You're just saying, okay. Take it to your job. You got a business owner. You got a company president, right? He's the one with the mission. He's the one with a vision. He's the one that's employing you. You are sub that mission. So what you are doing when you go to work, and by the way, he uses the heathen to train us because we have to learn on unrighteous so we can move to the righteous. So some of y'all need to work in a tar pit so you just know how to get up and get down and go left and go right when the man says so. Some of y'all got a rebellion problem, just saying. Now, submission means that we remember or submit ourselves to the grander plan.
Mission.
So if you're there stealing their resources, doing something else, talking on the phone, you're not submission. So Yahuwah seeing that saying, oh, I got a rebel. Yeah, but I don't like this Pharaoh. It don't matter who the boss is. It don't matter what they're doing. You're supposed to
being
submit.
trained. Yahuwah's training you.
You're learning how to obey orders. That's all you're learning. And you're doing it subjectively, like, well, he's not righteous enough. Like, you get to decide whether the leader. No, he might have put you under a nasty leader on purpose. I said he might have put you under a nasty.
If he's not righteous, then return the paycheck
and walk away. But you taking the money while failing to submit.
If you take that money, you've got to submit. And I had to learn that.
And so you can't have it both ways. That's an entitlement mentality or a psychological break. Frankly, it's illogical. So it's insanity.
Right.
You've gone insane if you think you're entitled to both.
What Apostle Peter and I are saying, and we're going to continue to say this for the next whatever, is growth comes from within, from inside, where the Ruach lives, where the Torah is given on our hearts, Jeremiah 31 through 34, Ezekiel 36. So the only growth that counts is from the inside. But you say you already know that, right? But you already know that, and yet you count growth in 39 different other ways. So we have to take a step back. We have to take a step back and say, okay, I'm getting a perverted perspective of growth.
That's right.
Yahuwah, you want me to grow. What do you want me to grow in, and how do you want me? Tolerance, patience, honor, respect, tithing, being afraid that if having a poverty mentality, that if I give my last dollar, that you're going to provide for the birds and the frogs.
I've tried to do that, by the way.
And the frogs, but not for me. So I have found, but I'm going to tell you, but wait, I'm going to tell you, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime. Growth is not something that's going to happen to you in your first 5 years as a believer. There may be some victories. There may be, but there's so much leaven in our perverted view of growth. Most of the people listening to us today, I'm going to tell you right now, I may not know diddly squat about you or your past, but I'm telling you, you're not growing in many ways that Yahuwah wants you to grow. And so that takes humility and say, yes, I was a thief, even while I was saved. Yes, I have an anger issue, even though I am saved. Yes, I have mental illness and I have psychosomatic pains and illnesses, even though I love Yahusha. And I'm going to come out of denial in any area that I need to come out of denial, which will lead to growth. The more areas you come out of denial and put on the altar, the more areas of growth according to his spirit and according to his heart. In other words, he already gave you his spirit in measure, but he wants to give you his heart, and his heart will want growth in his terms rather than carnal terms. Carnal doesn't have to be sex. Carnal could be anything that's not of Yahuwah, anything that builds up the ego, builds up the flesh. Ask any preacher, would they like to see 200 people sitting in front of them? Sure. But I'd rather have 10 that are submitted, that understand honor, that understand respect, that are growing in the right areas. But see,
I'll take one step
it took me 40 years. But Peter, it took me 40 years to get there. Because if you would have asked me, if you had given me a choice, I'm going to give you 200 troublemakers. Okay.
Yeah.
With a lot of money and a lot of flattery, false, fake flattery, 200 or 10 where we struggle but we're righteous and our hearts are right. I would have taken the 200. So we're all growing, and we got to be, but I wouldn't do that anymore. Give me 9. Give me 8 who are dedicated to Yahuwah, who will never stab me in the back. I'll take the 8. Somebody else can take the 200.
See what happened there? Why? Because after a time, you start realizing that you can do more with the 8 that are with you than you can do with 800 that are just there for filler.
Yes, sir.
And reality is that in order to get growth, you have to have truth. So everybody just meditate on that. You have to have truth in order to have growth. So whenever you're lying, either to yourself by denial or to others by refusing to acknowledge your own footprint, you will not grow. Lying makes you go around the mountain again, as I like to say. So when you refuse to acknowledge your own mistakes or your own errors or your own areas of misbehavior, you are just simply saying, I need to go around this mountain again. And I probably need to do it again before I see it. Now, once it's done to you, though, usually that's when we get it. So, for example, if you have a problem with, I don't know, pick something. It doesn't matter what it is. theft, right? I mean, let's say you're being convicted by theft. You know what'll really turn you around? Somebody steals something from you. Let somebody steal something from you, that your car, break into your house. Let you be the victim of theft. And the minute you become the victim of theft, that violation of a feeling, the sense of absolute powerlessness, the rape that it feels like, you will never, ever need anyone to explain to you again why stealing is so wicked. You will know why it's wicked, right? So why you now have an experience, you've had a growth in that area on the inside. This is never going to happen on the outside, guys. It never can, and it never will, which is why AI is enslaving. Everything's pushed to the outside. You're going to go to some AI to ask it what you should do. Boy, that's about the dumbest idea I've heard. And then those people that are sitting around saying, well, what should I do about these things? Listen, the reason why he put his word in your heart is so that you would all turn your questions inside. Why would you want to turn? You are the temple. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? You're the temple. Okay. The reason why he has sacred place is not for every day. Every day you're walking with him. Sacred place and sacred time is reset. That's what that is called, reset. So when you come to the 3 times a year, or you go to the place that he ordains his name, and you bring the tithe, those are all resets. But your day-to-day walk, you're supposed to be constantly communicating with him. Now, somebody said, can I go to other people? It's a great question. Thanks for asking. There's a gift in the Ruach called the word of knowledge. And there's a gift of the word of wisdom and the word of knowledge. If you sit with Sholiak and I, we will go off on a rabbit trail. And you'll say, and somebody sitting in the audience may go, what in the world is this kooky guy going off on this rabbit trail for, right? Why is he bringing up this seemingly ancillary point that really doesn't have anything to do with what we were just talking about? But you do it all the time. You want to know why? That's called a word of knowledge. He's being taken by the Ruach to get somebody who straggled. And that's for one person. The rest of you just endured it for one person who needed that word, and it confirmed something they were praying about that nobody knew. And it was in the quiet. And all of a sudden, it'll come out of my mouth or come out of the mouth of the Sholiak, and you'll go, and you heard from Yahuwah right there. So we are not directing you, because we are oblivious to what that even means to you. So we're not involved. That's the best way for it to happen, because we're not directly, right, Sholiak? We're not trying to tell you what to do. We're just speaking what came to our heart, and it just happens to be, coincidentally, a divine coinkydink. It just happens to be what you and your wife were talking about in the car 15 minutes ago.
But if somebody's saying, can growth come from the outside? Okay, by asking other people or excuse me, or consulting other people, the answer is absolutely. But this is a very, very important point. So I want everybody to pay attention. This is a very, very important point. You can go outside of your heart and outside of the word that's in your heart on occasion, but only when hearts are knit together. In other words, if you go to Peter and you go to me, you're going to basically, in 9 out of 10 cases, hear the same counsel.
Pretty much.
Okay? So you could waste your time if you'd like, or get a second opinion. It reminds me of the doctor. He says, doctor says you need an operation, and you're beyond, you're without an operation, you're beyond repair. And then the client says, doctor, I want a second opinion. He said, are you sure? He said, yes, I'm going to go for a second opinion. Doctor says, I'll give it to you. You're ugly too. Now.
That was good. I have to give you that one. That was pretty good. Okay.
So when people said, can I ask Sally? Can I ask a Penelope Pit Stop? Can I ask the wacky racers on TV? No. But when you're seeking the growth in your life, in spiritual growth, spiritual maturity, spiritual refinement, you can go to hearts, Amos 3:3, that are already knit together forever. I believe, I'm going to agree with Mindy in this case, that you and I are knit together forever. Whatever bumps we may create or we may run into, or the people want, bumps they put in our path so that we can, right? Where our hearts are knit. So you can test us on this if you want. You can go to Apostle Peter, ask him a question, then go to me, same spirit, same calling, same office, and you're probably going to get the same answer. So you can get a second or third witness when it comes to an area of growth. Now, when it comes to a business decision, should I buy a truck? I'm a trucker. Should I keep renting or should I buy a truck? He and I may give you a different opinion, but when it comes to the things of the spirit, I'll guarantee you we give you the same. We'll give you more or less give you the same answer.
That's very well said. Very well said.
Now, if you go to Peter and say, should I open a retail shop? He may know your situation better and say, no, because you'll be married to the store. I may say, no, if it's just for a season or if it helps put your children through college. So, when it comes to the spirit, to growth, right? Those hearts are knit together. So if you want to get a second or a third opinion based on kingdom growth and no violations of Torah principles, make sure the second, third, and fourth outer person have their hearts knit together. You can't go to Jesse Duplantis or to Benny Hinn and then go to Peter Martinez and expect the same answer regarding your growth. Because what's at issue is your growth, right? Your spiritual growth and maturity. So that is a problem that you created. So whatever answer you get, you deserve to be confused, because what fellowship does the cup of Yahuwah have with the cup and the table of Baal? There's no fellowship.
And there you have it. Advice unrequested is advice unreceived. Why is that? Because until we change posture, and I just said something you haven't thought about, maybe you guys never heard that before. I kind of made it up, but it's true. Think about it. Advice unrequested is advice unreceived. They have to tune into a channel to get value from it. They've got to come to a meeting to get value from it. They've got to read the book. They've got to at least give time to a thing in order for it to have value, right? So if it's unrequested or unprovisioned, if it's not given space, it will do nothing. And the same is true about any advice that you do receive, even on a broadcast, because it's still external to you until one thing happens. You internalize it. You have to do that. We can't internalize it. So we can tell you about it. We can explain it to you. We can share what internalization happened for us, right? So why are we saying the same things? Because we ate the same scriptures at the same speed. By the way, you notice we slow things down, make you guys look at words that you didn't think about, and then it starts changing the whole thing. Same exact process, a little different style, but it's the same thing. And so why? Because the gift forces truth to bring change. And it's uncomfortable truth. There's a lot of things we find out and you're like, man, I stink at this. Okay, great. And you roll up your sleeves and you work harder, right? Because now at least you know where you are. You aren't living in la la land thinking you're great. I can't stand that. I can't stand the self-graders, the people that grade themselves with an A while their paper says F. Okay, the fruit is what we go by, and you don't get to judge it. Other people get to. Even Mashiach said, go ask the people who hear me and let them tell you who I am. Okay.
You know what a great area of growth is?
What's that?
When you come to the point in 10 years, 10 days, 30 years, where you realize Yahusha's not pulling your leg, that your true family are the saints.
That's right.
So, you realize some people are going to go through life and never grow in that area. They're always going to go to their biological kin, the ones with the vampires on the walls, the ones that celebrate Halloween, and flesh and blood. Blood is thicker than water. And Yahusha says, I have given you a new family, the family of born again, Torah keeping believers. And that's an area of growth. Some people have been out of the church for 10 years and they still consider their grandchildren their true family as opposed to Yahuwah's children. And Yahusha's not playing. Yahusha doesn't mince words. So an area of growth, and I know this, so even though I don't read your mail, I know this through the Ruach, that no matter what Yahusha tells you, you're going to be more dedicated in the flesh and in the natural to your carnal seed that the sperm and the egg produced, as opposed to Peter and his family and the house and this house and the born again saints. That is our true family. And Yahusha modeled it. He said, you see those people, my mommy, my brothers, if they hear the word of Yahuwah and do it, they are my mishpacha. So that's an area of growth.
That's a demarcation line, isn't it?
Brother Peter, I don't care how. I've seen believers in the kingdom for 20 years, and they don't want to get it. They don't want to grow in that area. And by the way, until you grow in that area, kingdom giving is going to be very hard. Once you grow in that area, kingdom giving is going to be a lot easier, because now you're giving to your real family. See?
Well, I'm going to give you some previews of what's coming up next week. So what does kingdom mean? King is, of course, the reigning supreme power, right? And when we add the DOM to the end of it, it is an abbreviation of the word domain, or meaning perimeter or area of authority or power or efficacy.
Beautiful.
So the kingdom is the domain of the king.
Mm-hmm.
So when he says the kingdom is within you, it is the domain of the king, the New Jerusalem, if you will, where he is in there. So where are you going? See, the whole entire exercise was for us to get out of our flesh and begin to move into the things of the Ruach, where the truth is. Then when we come back to our flesh, we see it for what it is. And we understand what we're battling. But when you operate from the flesh, you give yourself too much what I would call personal grace. Instead of extending grace to your brethren, which is where the grace belongs, you decided you deserve all of it.
Which brings us to another problem, which is the definition of flesh. If you ask most believers to define flesh, they'll say pornography. Excuse me. Before there ever was something called pornography, there was the works of the flesh. So that's another topic for another time.
That's right. And look at the works of the flesh. Look at the things. What did Yahuwah say? It's better to have a corner of a rooftop than to live in a large house with someone who is contentious. What does that mean? This versus cooperative. We're submitted, part of the same team. If you go in the huddle and the quarterback says, all right, we're going to run a right flank, and somebody goes, oh, man, that stupid play again.
Yeah.
What did you just say? Oh, nothing. No. You my wide receiver.
Then comes the whistle, delay of game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call timeout. I'm gonna go out, and guess what's gonna happen? Coach's gonna pull you out of the game.
Yellow flag, delay of game. Too much talking, not enough playing. Right.
Yeah, right. You're on here arguing about what you think should be happening. I'm the quarterback. It's my role to give you the play. That's my job. And now you butt hurt. I'm just calling it what it is. You're mad because you don't like the play.
Can I give you another? Can I give you another definition of kingdom?
What's that?
I like yours. Kingdom over and domain, and the king over his domain. But this is the Queen's New York version. King over your dumb.
Yeah.
Give me all your dumb, and I'll be king over all your dumb. Not to mention your dung. Right?
Yeah. Well, we're moving out of dumb, right?
So I want to be king over all that is dumb in your life.
Here's another way to put it. You're moving out of the dog's territory. So the more you move into the things of the Ruach, when weren't there dogs outside? Just to answer that question. When weren't there? They're always, where'd the snake come from that came to the garden? Where'd he come from? Happyville? Okay. There are always dogs outside. Right? You got to get used to it. You got to walk by dogs. Revelation 22, get over it. All right. Those of you who were thinking they were all, no, this is part of the process. It's not about them. You guys are looking the wrong way. We're not fixing them. He's fixing you. Salah. He's using them as props. That's all they're for. They're there to bug you.
And growth for leaders is very difficult because leaders by definition think they know more than they think they know, and they don't like people speaking into their life and their ministry. And they've been hurt so many times by criticism that they don't imagine that someone should or could speak into their life to redirect them from a wrong direction, because they've been wounded and betrayed so many times. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what your name is. And I don't care what DHD and DHP and PhD is next to your name. Once you've been stabbed 49 times in 3 years by the closest to you, you're going to hesitate allowing people access. So that's a major problem for leaders.
You're all leaders. You're all leaders, and I'll tell you why.
Who can I trust as a leader to speak into my life because they have my best interest at heart? They're not competing, they're completing.
Ooh.
And they're going to push me in the right direction, because right now I don't feel like doing ministry. I'm low on energy, and I'm looking for a couple of years on the beach. Is there someone that can speak it? It's very intimidating. So I don't want people to think that everything that we talk about is to identify problems in their life. We got our own problems. It's just that, like you've said a million times, Yahuwah put the dogs in the thlipsis. So we go through the same process.
That's right.
And don't escape the trials and tribulations and the refining process that our fathers had to go through.
That's right. No exceptions. No special program for you. Endure. And by the way, how many know that leader is not a title? You can't entitle someone and make them a leader. You can give them a name tag and say, you're a leader. Okay, here's your name tag. You know what that is? That's forced imposed authority, which is specifically directly rebuked in Matthew Code 6 subsection, I think it's 29, right? This is violation of Kingdom Code, you know.
ACC, not UCC. KCC.
You're not allowed. That's right.
Kingdom
You're not
Code.
allowed to just put a title on somebody and force everyone underneath them to just obey. That's a Nicolaton if I've ever heard it. I said that's Nicolaton if I've ever heard it. That's
Bingo.
conquering people.
That's why I sit with the people. I'm not on a podium.
That's right. So instead, what is a leader? A leader, according to 1 Peter.
But I had to learn that too, Peter. I had to learn that too, to come off the 3-step altar. I used to preach to people. Forget about cursing. I used to preach to people as king of the 3-step altar. If I was not on an altar looking down on the people, then in my sick mind, I wasn't the teacher. This is the sick mind that I had 40 years ago. You follow what I'm saying?
I do, exactly. And that's why my next point was
Go ahead.
that 1 Peter 5 makes it clear what a leader is. And that is an example. And so whether you like it or not, you're all examples. The question is of what? You're all examples. The question is, are you an example of obedience? That's a submission, an example of honesty, integrity. What are you an example of? And honor, by the way, is a gift a man gives himself, and integrity is the fruit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when you are competing, you have no honor. There's no honor among thieves. Yeah. So you are operating from an external input. You're trying to achieve something or have a certain accolade versus completing, which is internal. Mm-hmm. Internal maturity that's where completing comes from. It's very mature, and it's about doing it together versus the competition, which is dog eat dog. Okay. And one dog wins over the other dogs. Okay. That's very carnal. No one likes that. Everyone bristles at that. No one likes it.
I love what you said one time. There was a guy who would come to my Zoom meetings, and then he would get everybody's phone number and email. And within 1 week or 2 weeks, they were contacted, and pretty soon they were in his kehillah, right? And I would lose them little by little. So, but I like what you said one time. He says, if you can convince my sheep that have been entrusted to me, they're not mine, they're Yahuwah's, but they've been entrusted to Remnant House. If anybody can convince those sheep to leave their fold, then I don't want them. I don't want
them. The way I said it was, if you can take them, you can have them.
You could take them, you can have them.
If you can take them, you can have them. I don't want them.
They're not Psalm 1 planted.
No, they're not.
They're not planted according to
They are not your friends. They revealed their duplicity, and they revealed that they actually harbored something else in you. You should be immovable. He says so. It's very clear. Immovable, unshakable, always abounding unto the work of Yahuwah. And tree planted doesn't mean it's moving. So again, these are all messages that we get very plainly from the scripture, and then we just go ahead and ignore it. Oh, well, we don't ignore it. They ignore it. We just watch.
But
And
did you
when
say
we
that
watch,
again? If you could take them, you could have them.
you can take, if they're not planted and you can take them, you can have them.
In
Let
other
me
words,
this
if
way.
you
Let me
shake
put it
them,
like this.
shake-
That'll really rock all the populists, the people who think they have to be popular in order to be successful. I don't care. I'm gonna do what he told me to do, with or without you. I
Bingo.
keep proving it. In fact, the vast majority, I
Bingo.
get to say I did it without you.
Yeah. That's
So
an
you don't have any
apostolic
real bearing
breakthrough
on whether
anointing.
I'm going to do what I'm called to
And-
do or not.
And that's why Abraham was also an apostle.
That's
'Cause
right.
How much ground did Abraham and Sarah have to break?
That's right. Say that again.
How much ground did Abraham and Sarah have to break?
No, I'm talking about the apostolic part.
They had a life of breakthrough. They had from the womb to the tomb was a life of breakthrough.
Where do you think I learned it from?
I don't want to build on another man's foundation. Paul said, I don't want to build on another man's foundation. I'll tell you what makes Moshe Konachowski great in the kingdom is because I don't want another man. No other foundation can any man lay than that which is usual. I translate a new version. I teach a new understanding of the two houses. I teach a new understanding of the true name. I don't want to join someone else's work and borrow. No, I'm looking for fertile ground where I can build. I'm a builder, and that's what you are. And that's the apostolic breakthrough anointing.
But you see, it's not a title. Notice I don't
Never
ever put the
will.
title there, because if I'm not bringing forth the fruit, the title is irrelevant. So here's the thing. In 2018, I followed Abraham's example. And what was spoken to me in the Ruach: arise, walk to the land, to the width of it, and the breadth of it, and I will give it unto thee. Ask of me, and I will give unto thee the heathen for an inheritance. That's what he spoke to me. And so I got in my car. So got rid of, boy, you don't understand how we will make a left turn. And so we got in our vehicle, got rid of everything up there in Minnesota, and started driving. We went all the way to the East Coast. We went down to the tip of Florida. We came all the way across the southern United States, blowing the horn the whole time. Okay, folks, when he tells you get up and go, you get up and go. Some people's get up and go, got up and left. And so what we need to do is we need to know how to go when he says go. Now, when he gives me that word, it's because he already knows the expected end he's bringing me to. Okay, so he knew this was where he was bringing me, but he had to bring me through the broken road, right? He had to bring me a certain way so that in the process of time, I would appreciate what he was giving me. You see, we don't have enough gratitude, and that is affecting our attitude. Attitude determines your height. The attitude of a wing on a plane, literally and figuratively and literally, it is called the attitude or the tip, which determines lift or drop. So your attitude is critical to how you function. And if your attitude is that the assembly is some extra thing, or that the Sholiach's a burden, or that the tithe, like Cain's attitude towards the tithe, was mega disrespectful, what could go wrong? What could go wrong with that attitude? I'm sure it's going to work out great.
So getting back to attitude, a believer can give a tithe of $100.
Oh, I love Lydia's question. Can I answer Lydia's question?
One second. $100 and then $100. One is a cheerful giver. Paul addresses the attitude in 1 Corinthians 9. Right? Yahweh loves a cheerful giver. He despises. He doesn't just reject. He despises someone who gives begrudgingly. So same gift, same $100. One is received and the other is not. As you said.
Come on.
As you said, because of attitude. And the attitude is a key part of growth. You can go through the motions of ministry or service to Yahuwah, but true seed that blossoms into trees of the field that clap their hands, which are strong disciples. Trees are symbolic, or they're a metaphor for strong disciples. All comes down to the attitude. So what I tell leaders all the time, and maybe we should have more leadership meetings, I tell them all the time, listen, you got to be careful the way you plant, because it's easier to birth something than to resurrect the dead. Let me say that again. It's easier to birth something and let the tree grow straight than to resurrect or to repair a broken and a cooked there's only one person who can resurrect things, and that's Yahusha. So, in other words, if you're going to make a disciple, make sure that, unlike the Pharisees, you don't teach them Talmud and Zohar and mix them up, so that they become 2 times more a child of hell than they themselves are. You reproduce, and I've heard you say this, you reproduce after your own kind. So when Peter Martinez makes a disciple, he's not going to be wishy-washy. He may not make 10,000. Y'all not hearing me. He may not make 10,000, but the ones he makes are going to be steadfast, solid, committed, honoring Yahuwah. They will not be thieves. They will not be living a double life. They won't be double-minded. Peter is going to reproduce after his own kind. And ask yourself that question. Go in the mirror when this podcast is over and ask yourself that question. When I make a disciple, it's been about 20 years, but I hope to make one soon. When I make a disciple, will he be wishy-washy like me, or will he be different than me? It's getting quiet now.
That would be greater than
a lot of quiet right now around the world.
Right.
There's
So here's a couple things that occurred.
all
You just
over
said
the world
something
tonight,
that reveals
all
a
over
secret.
the world. Can you hear the sound of lovers in love? Remember that song?
I do. You just hit something in the Ruach. It was a huge thing. It was like we were digging and it went clank. And I was like, oh, clank. All right. So I'm going to come back to Lydia's question. Lydia asked a great question. I'm going to come to that real quick here.
Sure.
And she's my question asker, by the way. That's why she does it, because she knows I just literally love her for that. I literally just say, I will pull aside and say, Lydia, thank you. Because she just asked some of the best questions, man. First of all, you can't shut down the exchange and then be mad there's no exchange. One more time. You can't shut down the exchange and then get mad that there's no exchange. What do you mean? Well, if you don't do things his way, as Abraham did, went to the right place, gave to the right person, authorized, don't just deposit your check in any old bank. You go to the bank with your name on it. His name, then has to be a name on the bank that says that's the right bank, right? So the name is a factor. The world is literally telling you, there's hints everywhere. And so, you go where he tells you, right? And you do, and you honor him. So the exchange continues. See the divine exchange continuing to happen between Abraham and Yahuwah constantly. Constant exchange, right? And so this is something that you cannot disconnect and then expect the same results. And a lot of times what people do, disconnect the exchange. They're no longer honoring him. They disrespect him weekly on like a regular basis until there's a crisis. Well, there's bound to be a crisis because of what you're doing, right? So that's inevitable. And sure enough, here comes the crisis. And then you want to reconnect the relationship. Then, when the crisis occurs. Anybody else smell foolish versions? I do. So there's no pre-thought. There's no preloaded respect. There's respect because of your circumstances. See the difference? That's not a Psalm 1 verses 1 through 3 heart. That's somebody that's in trouble that just needs some miracle, needs somebody to help them. Now, go back and look at all the people that get miracles. Where are they? What happened to them? Some people you prayed for, they got miracles. They're not even following. There's some people that you prayed and sweated over. They got what they asked for, and then they just dismissed him. This happens all the time. Okay? So number 2, the second point I want to make is, if you're going to be my disciple, if you're going to hang out with me, I might want to warn you ahead of time, because there's certain things that he taught me how to do that I don't know that everybody else is doing. So one of the things you're going to learn to be, if you're my disciple, is you're going to learn to obey first, ask your dang questions later. Yeah. So you might want to go ahead and hit that exit if that is not the kind of discipleship you wanted. Because if you want that, he has to explain it to me first. I have to fully understand it first, in direct violation of Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, which say, trust in Yahuwah with all your heart, not part of your heart, all your heart. What part? All your heart. And lean not upon thine own puny brain that can't figure out nothing fast enough. Okay, so don't lean upon your own understanding. In all your ways, just acknowledge him and duck. So when he says duck, you duck first, then you ask why. That's my secret. You want to be
doing
my
it again. You're taking my notes. You're stealing my notes.
You want to be my
I told you
disciple?
to leave my notes alone, didn't I?
What you do, you duck first, then you ask why. You don't say, explain it to me. You don't stand there with a hand on your hip, acting all big and bad. That's
Come
a good
on.
way to get your head knocked off. Instead, you humble yourself first. Then you say, now, why did we have to do that? Well, it was good that you humbled yourself because, first of all, the higher principle is obey him. The second principle is meditate. Right? So meditation requires time. You might want to duck first so you can meditate. And while you're sitting there, a few arrows are going to go, and you're going to go, oh, that's why. Never mind. So you know what I found as I walk with him? He doesn't usually have to explain. If I just obey him, I figure it out. Now, what's happening? Because I figure it out, there's internal calculation. There's high cognition. There's massive character development. There's calculation between fixed points. My volition is changing. My internal behavior is modifying, and I'm developing authenticity.
Yeah, yeah. And the answer will come in the process of the obedience.
Exactly. So everybody looking for answers on the outside of them are avoiding the class they know they have to take. You're all skipping the class, hoping to get crib notes instead of sitting in the class and just go through it. There is no shortcut. Do your sit-ups.
And I'm going to apply that to Alliance leaders. The Alliance is now about 8 months old or 9 months old. So we got to start doing some growth, don't we?
Outreach.
Well, not
Listen,
just
that's-
that.
that's-
No, not just that. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you want to be a member and you want to be MCFA and you want to be get a piece of paper, whatever you need that we can
Yes.
help you with, that we'd like to help you with.
Yes, it's going
you
to
need
turn out to
start-
be critical.
You need to start showing up at the meetings. This idea of taking off and not letting us know, we're going to hold. What's the point if I don't show up for 2 months to a meeting, if I don't show up for the Apostles at the Gates for 2 months, and you don't ask where I am, how are you holding me accountable? I could be in the depths of sin,
Yeah.
and you don't give a damn about your brother. You don't see me on the Apostles at the Gate. So if you're going to be in the, I can't speak for Peter. I can only speak for myself. You need to be. If you're going to miss a leadership meeting, leadership means you're an example to the flock. Let us know.
That's
Don't
right.
just disappear and have us wonder where you are. You're either a member or you need to remember that you're not a member. Which one is it? Sorry.
And that's
There's not
another-
one standard for the sheep and another standard. If you expect the sheep, if you don't see them for 4 Shabbats and you would like some kind of an answer, is something wrong so you can help them, then we have the same right in the Alliance to hold each other accountable and say, when should you be at the Alliance meetings? Every time the doors open. How you like me now? Did you understand my speech? Every time the doors open. Now, if you're in the hospital getting heart surgery, well, obviously you're excused. But just tell us ahead of time, because that's what you want your people to tell you. That's the way you want the sheep that have been entrusted to you to tell you. So this is a word for some folks, and please get your leadership in order so that your sheep can honor you the same way you honor your fellow leaders in the Alliance.
If you're trying to, that's exactly correct, by the way. And so I want to affirm that, and I'm going to add something to that. Exactly correct. We need our brethren in the Alliance. Without each other, we don't hold each other accountable. Now, how many have ever started off a new year? And I know that we don't celebrate the new year when they do, but just work with me for a minute, where you're like, I'm going to start losing weight and I'm going to go work out and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Right. And then 2-3 weeks go by and then that's it. That volition just went off the cliff. You forgot all about it. Why?
You done lied to yourself, boy.
Because the decision alone apparently wasn't enough. Fair? Can we all say that's fair? A decision alone wasn't sufficient. It was great. It was a great thought. It was a great beginning, but without the other elements, it's not going to succeed. And so one of the things that I noticed, of course, and that is a major, major problem, is that people worship themselves. Now, stay with me, folks. 666 is a big thing. 666 means I am in charge of everything, and I am the arbiter of all truth. And that means you're 666. You've got 666 on your forehead and on your deeds. Okay? And why? Because you believe you're the top of the heap. Now, how do you know you found your fellowship, your fold? I'll tell you how. Number one, you got a leader and leaders who don't worship you. That'd be a good start. They don't worship you. They worship Yahuwah. And you may think, oh, I wouldn't want to worship. Oh, take a closer look. You'll see they actually worship their congregations because that's where their money comes from. So they come beg you for money. Think it through, folks. Think it through. Now,
fake growth.
You want to also go to the place where you get flat, knocked down, unequivocally
Challenged.
rebuked.
Yeah.
No, not just challenged, rebuked. And you want to know why? Oh, I don't have to tell you why. You tell me why, sweetheart. You tell me why you need an apostle or a pastor who ain't scared of you, who's willing to tell you, no, you're being an idiot. Why do you need that?
Right. You're right.
Because if you don't, you end up being in charge.
Permanent idiot.
Jezebel, don't you?
Yeah.
Starting to control the pulpit from somewhere else.
Python.
Like a little Jezebel spirit going, well, I don't like that. And the pastor, oh, I don't want a friend, Theodora over there. Theodora might not give us a check if I'm
sorry,
not right,
Python.
Theodora.
Yes, Python.
Right? And next thing you know, he's changing what he's preaching because he wouldn't want to upset. Poor Theodora. You coward. You should sit down. No, you need to get rebuked wherever you go. And also, lastly, if you don't sense, if the sense you're getting from that leader is that he's just trying to control you or just manipulate you or exercise his superiority over you, to show himself so smart over you, then you need to leave because that's not a truly anointed man of Yahuwah, period, the end.
Correct.
But a man who is using all of his gifts to make you a champion, not himself, you better.
Challenge you, yes.
A person that's using everything in his entire repertoire
real
to help
growth.
you develop and grow as a man or a woman, that's where you belong. And you know it's the same as going to find a good trainer, a personal trainer who's going to call you up and say, it's Tuesday morning. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I'm here. You pay me to help you. I'm gonna wait here till you get to the gym. Well, I was hoping to skip today. You was hoping wrong. You paid me to make you a champion. You better get down here. How many of that guys hanging up the phone like, dang, man, that's why I hired him though, because he calls me out. He calls me out, right? And then next thing you know, 6 months later, he's his best friend. They're buds. Why? Because he didn't let him have no quarter. And he truly loved him enough to say, no, you're going to get down here. We're going to do what we said, and we're going to get through this together. That's the kind of fellowship you need.
If you come to the leader and because you're in an assembly and you want to grow, the leader's going to smell awfully nice. If you're there for any other reason other than to grow, you will find enough ought against the leader to vacate yourself.
Always. That's easy. They're going to be ornery. They're going to have an attitude problem. They're going to have something you don't like. They're going to make too many jokes. They wore the right color, wrong color, sat in the wrong place, right place. Who cares? Something. You'll come up with a reason, because if they can take them, they can have them. See, when the devil has a hold of you, he tries to take you, and if he can take you, he can have you.
I told one sister who was new to our assembly a while back, and she was very defensive. I was trying to speak into her life. I was trying to correct her. She was very defensive. And I said to her, did you come down here to argue with me?
Right, exactly.
Did you move all the way from up north to
have this close argument?
To get defensive? I said to her, lower your defenses. Take a deep breath. You moved 600 miles because you told me you trusted me, and you told me that my leadership touched your life. Okay, then
don't argue with me now.
Drop the defenses.
Right.
And I'm not yelling at you. I'm raising my voice to make sure you hear what I'm saying. I've been doing this for 40 years faithfully. You've been doing this unfaithfully, on and off, with slip sliding and backsliding. So should I listen to you, or should you listen?
Man, you did
or
not
should you listen to me?
loud.
I haven't backslidden 44 years. That doesn't mean I'm without spot or blemish. I am, but I haven't backslid. So should I listen to you, or should you listen to me? Who's been the consistent one? And then she right away said, okay. I said, so when I correct you,
ouch,
you don't need to get defensive, because you're stunting your growth.
Thank you.
The topic today is growth. That's the topic.
you.
Growth.
Thank
Child
you.
of Yahuwah, saint of Yahuwah. Don't stop your own growth. Look, I'm going to say something, Peter. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Peter and I are equals. I've always considered ourselves equal for these past 50 episodes. By the way, happy Jubilee. Mazel tov. Happy Jubilee. Episode number 50.
All right.
And I said to him, if I'm going to give you an example. I was kind of testing him. I'm a bad boy. I said to him, so if you and you're having problems in your family, you're having problems with Josiah, would you allow me, if I see something that can help your ministry, your effectiveness and the reach of your ministry or the effectiveness of, would you allow me to share it? Absolutely. He says, you're my elder. I didn't expect you to say that. You're my elder. I never expected you to say that. But that's the way you've treated me. You are my elder. I don't see myself as your elder. I don't. I honestly don't. But that just shows you where your heart was. That you don't mind being in the alliance to allow other leaders to hold you accountable. So
no, in fact, you'll only make me better.
Yeah.
Your accountability is your brilliance. Well, let me just say this for everybody out there, because you already know this, Sholiak, but I'm going to say this for the sake of those that are out there. We love your feedback. You're brilliant. Your genius is, we can't live without it. Every joint supplies. So when you come along and say, well, Peter, you do this well, you do this well, you got all this, but man, there's just a couple things I'd like to make better. You kidding me? Man, I can't throw the door open fast enough for people that have a genuine heart. It's the ones that are coming only with complaints,
right?
Observation,
first and foremost.
So once again, it's not that you can't bring a COD. That's what I call it. I call it a COD. Complaints. Watch this now, everybody. Complaints, observations, and disagreements. COD. Okay? Complaints, observations, and disagreements. When do you bring those? Never first. Ever.
Ever.
Never. If you want to fight, no. So a recipe for a fight. You ready? Bring a COD first. Guaranteed fight. 100% of the time. If you, on the other hand, with wisdom and preloaded respect, able heart. See this? So you don't walk up to there and decide when you get to the altar how to behave. You already decide how to behave. Watch this now. You don't go to work and decide when you stand in front of the boss how to behave. You already went there with respect. You don't go to the president of the United States and decide then if you're going to be respectful when you're going there for a pardon, right? Or you're going there for something to get signed. You go preloaded with respect. When you go to a husband, if you're a wife, you don't go and decide, well, today I decided I'm going to respect you. I'm going to ignore 30 years of our life or whatever, and only today. No, that's a guaranteed way you're going to get into a fight. But if you walk in with respect preloaded, okay, preloaded, like Abel did, when he comes to the altar, his respect's already there. Abraham did with Melchizedek. David did, Solomon with the 1,000 bulls, all preloaded respect. When you do these things, now you've changed your posture. It doesn't change a single complaint, observation, or disagreement. So nobody told you couldn't say or feel whatever you feel like you need to say or feel.
If your approach to a leader or to your pastor or to your shepherd or to your apostle is to immediately begin with displeasure
and disrespect,
that means you're not there to grow. You've got the sixfold ministry. You've got the sixfold ministry of fruit inspection. I don't see that. Yeah. I don't see that in scripture. There's no office of fruit inspector, is there?
Nope. And you're not a champion because you're looking for excuses instead of overcoming.
Let me give you an example of the wisdom, because he's not the king of kingdom. He's not. He wants to make you smart. Okay, he doesn't want to be the king of dumb all your life. He wants to make you smart. Now, let me give you let me give you another little story. So I had a lady come from the Pacific Northwest. Okay. And, we love your ministry and we send you $20 and we listen online, blah, blah, blah. They arrive here within 1 month. We gave him free rent. Stay with me. You can identify with this better than anybody. We gave him free rent. We let him live in our land. We let him put the trailer there, the whole 9 yards. We gave him a job, cut the trees. We felt sorry for them, put some seed on the bushes. Whatever, we'll throw you $100. We had pity and mercy on them. Within 2 weeks, she said, I need to talk to you, Sholiak. Okay, come to the office. Something's bothering me. I said, yes, what's bothering you? The brownies. I said, excuse me? This girl was hungry. She's a little 16-year-old girl. And she said she wanted seconds. And you told her she couldn't have seconds until everybody else had first. And I think that was very cruel because she's young and she gets a wrong impression of you as a leader because you denied her a second round of brownies. Peter, I knew from that minute on, I said to my family, Oy vey. Oy
What did we
Gewalt.
do?
Wait a second. Oy Gewalt on steroids. I said, 2 weeks into her membership here, she wanted a personal meeting on Shabbat, right? This could not wait. This couldn't wait.
Wow.
It couldn't wait to rebuke me about the distribution of brownies, which, by the way, I didn't cook. And by the way, I had no authority over except to say, as a pastor, I wanted to make sure everybody got some, right? You would do the same. So I knew right away, I said, oh boy, these people.
Is this person married, by the way?
No growth, married. Her and her husband, same spirit, Ananias and Sapphira. I says, they're not going to last. And by the way, they can't leave quick enough. Make a long story. For the next 6 months before they decided to return the key, nothing but problems. You shouldn't have bought this crib. You shouldn't have gone here. Why didn't you go here? And they were discontent. But the point is this. If you're making problem for Peter Martinez or any other Martinez, 2 weeks, you didn't even wait a month. You didn't even wait for a new Chodesh. What is that? What message is Mindy and you and all the elders? What message are they going to get about? You're marked. You've done marked yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. And one of these things that people don't realize is how close they get to the blasphemy of the Ruach HaKodesh. So there's a lot of dangerous behavior, especially regarding speech. So be very careful with that, folks. Don't get tempted, because this is how they make twice the servant of hell as themselves going over hill and dale. They first get you to commit the unpardonable sin, then basically you are useless in the kingdom. Married people coming and a wife coming directly to you by itself already indicated that you had a problem.
Good. That's good.
So that in and of itself, the fact that she felt empowered to go around her husband, that was hyper disrespectful. And then the very fact that he didn't even notice it meant that she was blind leading the blind there. He needed to rebuke that. He needed
Peter,
I'm sorry. I'll go talk to him. You tell me the issue and I'll go talk to him.
But
he just jumped ahead and went ahead and said, I'll do it.
But I need to ask you, please, would you forgive me for the sin upon the brownies and the distribution? You're an apostle. I want to confess my fault. Will you forgive me for the sin of the brownies?
Go in peace, my son.
Espíritu Santos. Padre, Hijo, Espíritu Santos.
But the reality is that
forgive me, Apostle Peter, please forgive
you.
Me. I sinned in the distribution to the saints of the brownies. It was an unequal weight and measure. Please, Apostle Peter, would you be so kind? Do you have a screen? You have a screen there? Okay, we're sitting behind the screen for this to be official. Will you pardon me, Father?
Get out of my whatever they call
out of the booth. Get out of my booth.
Jeff had a great question. In addition to the natural, is tithing also metaphorical? A metaphoric spiritual act. Is it a prophetic act?
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's this question from?
Brother Jeff Prov 779. In
addition, Jeff asks good questions. I'll tell you what.
It's a great question. Is tithing a metaphorical spiritual act of sowing and reaping, similar to how baptism has a spiritual act or is a spiritual act? Great analogy. Absolutely perfect and spot on. Okay. A lot of people will say things this way, Sholiak. They'll say, well, we don't do animals anymore. No, because if you sell the animal, they give you coin.
Yeah.
See, that was the whole exchange. You saw that whole, there's a lot of things going on there. So it doesn't matter whether it's in the form of the animal itself or reduced, because an equation is an equal sign, right? So equals also works. And this is why when they even receive, it's right there in the Torah, you receive silver coins for redemption. The The word redemption is used. Silver coin. So for those people that have issues with all that, does it affect your life? Then it's important to Yahuwah. Does it affect your life? Oh, well, then it's important to Yahuwah. When it no longer is affecting your life and it's not important to you, then it won't be important to him. As long as it's important to you, though. Is it important to you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then it's important to him.
You know,
okay? And yes, it is metaphorical, and yes, it is spiritual. That's my thoughts. What's your thoughts, Joel?
You know what a lot of Christians believe, and including Nazarene believers, because they haven't studied the matter. They think that Yahusha threw the money changers out of the temple because they were thieves, which they were, but he threw them out because they had made the Father's house a house of merchandise, which is true. But getting back to what you said earlier, it was because of their attitude. How many know? I'll bet you 60% of our audience doesn't know this. The money changers were commanded to be there, like you were just referring to coins, silver, whatever. The money changers were commanded to be there by Torah. Did you know that? Did you know that Torah says if you come to worship Yahuwah on the Shalosh Regalim, the 3 foot festivals, okay, Matzot, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and you're too far to schlep a goat or a calf, okay, then you go there to the money changers and purchase your animal. So the money changers were supposed to be there. Yahusha didn't throw them out because they weren't supposed to be there. It was their attitude and their dishonest.
So let me see if I got this, Sholiak. In order to bring the animal, you had to bring the money
to buy the animal.
So what was this about? Money was not
the problem
even.
Was
what I mean? The logic of this nonsense.
The problem was the unequal weights and measures.
Yes.
You were saying before the attitude. The problem, in other words, let me say this again for all you Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple and you shouldn't sell stuff. And let me explain something to you. Yahuwah is the one who put the money changers there so that people can worship him. But they turned it into a personal, dishonest aggrandizement.
Money gaining trick.
Rather than providing the vehicle and the means by which arriving pilgrims can worship Yahuwah. Okay,
that is correct.
How about that? Yahusha put a money changer in the temple. Think about that. See, most people don't understand that. And they'll say to me, where is that in the Torah? Well, I'll find the reference if you'd like. They were supposed to be there. Yahusha didn't say, oh my gosh,
did this
they're
selling,
they're buying and selling in the temple. No, Yahusha's the one who put them there.
Was this before or after 70 AD? Before. Things changed at 70 AD. A new thing occurred, but here's what he's demonstrating in this process. He's letting you know ahead of time what he's going to be doing for the rest of the seasons that come. And so where is the temple? He already told you that. Where did he tell you that? Brit Hadashah. Where'd you learn? You are the temple. Okay. Now, you are the temple. Where's the kingdom of Yahuwah? Kingdom is within you. Okay, now we're catching up. And so you are the domain of the king. Okay, now we're catching up. And so where then would the money changers be? Oops. And what does the Messiah who's coming into his temple have to do with his whip? Well, he's got to whoop all money changers out of his temple. Let's go ahead and process that. You're the temple. Your love of mammon is the root of all evil. It is because of the love of the power to exercise power without love, which is what mammon gives you, that we have these issues. So when you tithe, you've given the best or the first to Yahuwah, which is the equivalent of cutting the head off the snake. You're welcome.
Yes. If somebody could find that verse, that would be awesome. I mean, instead of me looking for it.
So this is why it is so important that you have the kingdom on the inside, because now the king is reigning over the temple. And he asks questions that you would never hear from outside you.
Right.
And you can't get away with nothing. You ever notice that? You ain't getting away with nothing. That's why we all want to. That's why people want religion.
Alliance.
Religion allows them to get away with stuff. Religion doesn't think of everything. And the Ruach don't miss things that religion misses. The Ruach will be there in the bathroom with you when you're making your decision.
And I'm gonna tell
Yep.
you, yesterday
Everywhere.
at the ARM, as a result of the ARM meeting, I had one or two of your people contact me, and they say, "Listen, thank you for that teaching because it explains a lot of the stuff that's been happening here in Arizona recently." So we need that accountability and to
Python spirit by far and
encourage
away. Absolutely.
and to encourage each other. And so it's the alliances of Remnant Ministries is so important. Could somebody look up that scripture where the money changers were in the Torah? Because I've got to stop what I'm doing to do that. And I see we were basically at the end, but maybe we can post that because I basically have to stop what I'm doing to look it up. Do you realize the podcast is over?
We've gone ways.
It is. It goes so fast.
I know. I just love talking to you.
It goes well. Thank you. It goes so fast.
I
My
wasn't gonna say
word,
anything 'cause
my word. I wish switching phones from T-Mobile to Verizon went that fast. You can go in there and stay there for 2 days. I walked into a T-Mobile store the other day. I almost peed my pants. I didn't see a counter. Wait a second. Let's end with this crazy stuff. I didn't see a counter. I didn't see a normal, storefront. I'm not modern. I'm not like the kids. I'm not the Gen Z, Gen B, I'm not any of those things. So I walk in there. I'm like, where's the salesman? Well, I don't know, but everybody's standing. Where are they standing? Then I see these little, you ever walk into one of these T-Mobile stores, right? Then you see these little tables and I'm like, oh, so there's a little table that he must be the salesman. He's got the tie on.
Yeah.
But when you first walk in there, I'm like, what is this an auction? It's like, where's the counter? You know what I'm saying? You ever been in one of those?
We're in a state of confusion right now.
It's
we're
crazy,
definitely in
man.
a state of confusion.
I got crazy. I like help.
They're still hybriding the retail element in a digital world, and they don't quite know how to handle malls and retail and strips, and it's all falling apart because of that. So we'll talk about that in future broadcasts, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them to us. And also want to just encourage you, if you're in need of a calendar, for lack of a better word. We don't really like that word, but that's the word that you all understand. We're going to be printing those. So there will be a form on our website, probably by the end of the day, if it's not there already, but it should be there by end of the day. So swing on by to remnanthouse.org and let us know that you want a physical printed calendar. We're going to be sending a bunch of them down to Yahtzee, so you guys don't need to worry about that. We'll just send you a bunch. And you can distribute them from there. We'll send you a good bunch of them, probably 20 or 25 of them, so you got a solid number. And then anybody else need any, just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be happy to send them out. All right,
we love you guys. Yes, that's it. We love you guys.